So I'm starting today a new series, and we're going to have this series in the run-up to Easter. And what we tend to do here is we have a series that lasts about 5 or 6 weeks where we look at a particular topic and just sort of see how it develops and how it goes. And the title of this course is called Being at Peace. And I like that title because it sort of holds two meanings. There's being at peace with being as a verb. Being at peace with being as a verb, in that we are experiencing the action of being at peace. And then there's being as a noun, with the idea that the beingness within us is at peace. Being at peace. The beingness that is within us is at peace. And I think it's a subtle difference, but one that identifies the difference between what we experience in our lives as we go on, the difference between that and the difference between that and the nature of our souls. That which is going on with us and that which is within us. So those two differences, that which is going on within us and that which is within us. And I decided to do this series before Cynthia came last week. Who was here for Cynthia last week? Do you know, I looked up, on Tuesday we put up the video of Cynthia on our website and on YouTube, which we do every week. And since Tuesday, 4,500 people have downloaded that video and watched it. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's so far. I emailed Cynthia and she said, wow. You know, but that was great. I was so pleased to see that. And 4,500 people. Anyway, she was here last week, and she used a quote from Thomas Keating that seemed particularly apt to what we're talking about today. And it was from the book Reflections on the Unknowable. And this is the quote that she used. We try so hard to put order into our lives and into the cosmos. There is none. Instead, there are lots of comings and goings, ups and downs. In fact, everything, even at the subatomic level, is in chaos. Moments of perfect order coalesce only to dissolve again into the thrilling immensity of infinite possibilities. Love is all because it's nowhere, not in one place, but everywhere. Every form is teeming with life and with various forms of consciousness or no consciousness, like bees swarming in a hive or ants on an anthill. Life on every level is busy. Yet it's doing nothing, remaining for a moment and then quickly passing away, only to be back again in another form, in another community, in another chaos. Chaos, he says, is our home. It is always becoming, ending, starting anew. Everything moves, but in no particular direction. It's always changing, always becoming something new, always together with everything else, dependent and interconnected, differentiating, yet always the same, fusing, oneing, never still, always in relationship to everything. Only love remains. Nothing really matters because everything matters and is happening at the same time. Nothing is remembered or forgotten. It's all here at once. Everything's in movement, going nowhere, but enjoying everywhere and everything. This is creation. Endless, delightful, unpredictable, unbelievable, yet ising, and the isness is playing with goodness, beauty, and truth, without purpose, without plan, without judgment, in perfect peace, in the midst of activity and no activity. To be in a relationship is to accept everything and resist nothing. To be in a relationship is to accept everything and resist nothing. It welcomes enemies and makes them the best of friends, whether they be people, angels, demons, problems, difficulties, pain, suffering, or desolation. All is in the world, which is the safest place in all creation, where gratitude, freedom, and love reign supreme. And I think that so speaks to the chaos, which is often the experience that we have of our lives, and the experience that we see in the world today. That chaos, we know it's there. And I love that reading, The Stilling of the Storm, because I think it's quite appropriate to this, but not in the way that is normally appropriate. When you hear that reading, what you think about is the disciples, they're in fear of the storm, and Jesus is asleep in the boat, and they call out to him in fear, and he stills the storm, saying, "Why are you so afraid? Don't you have any faith?" We think, like, how amazing, the disciples think this as well. Jesus has stilled the storm. Even the winds and the waves obey him, and the sea is flat. But I don't really think that's the message of this passage, that if you're great spiritually and enlightened, you can still the storm around you. I don't think that's the message here at all. The message is that Jesus is sleeping and at peace while the storm is raging. The disciples can't take it, so they ask Jesus to make the storm go away, and he does, but then he rebukes the disciples for their lack of faith. The important thing is that when the storm in our lives is raging around us, when there is chaos in our lives, the response is not to make the chaos go away and to have things become calm again. It's to be able to be at peace in the chaos, just as Jesus was when he was asleep during the storm. I just want to say a few words. We love having children's noises in the church, so I want you not to feel any concern about any children's noises. We much prefer children's noises than no children at all, so there's no need to take them out, even if you think, oh my goodness me, it's disturbing people, because I will just speak louder. So please be at peace. Yeah. But that, idea of being at peace in the chaos is not how we live our lives. We like things to be at peace, rather than ourselves being at peace in the chaos of things. We like the things to be at peace. And I think that here is what Thomas Keating is pointing out, that the natural state of affairs is chaos rather than calm. He says we try so hard to put order into our lives and into the cosmos. In fact, everything at a subatomic level is chaos. And I know that to be true in my life. I'm always wanting it not to be so. I want the calm, and then get very upset when the car breaks down, or when I have a health issue, or where there's a problem in the chapel, or, everything like that just gets in the way, and I can feel myself bracing myself. Sometimes I dread hearing the phone ringing, because I know it's going to be more bad news. Dad, the car's broken down. Ah! And I brace myself. My stepfather always used to say when the news came on, it's a family joke this, the news used to come on with the signature, and he'd always used to say every single day, "What disaster has befallen us now?" So this became a family joke just before the news started. You'd hear him pipe up, because we do not like our calm to be disrupted. But Thomas Keating is saying there is actually no natural calm. The natural state is chaos. And what we have to do is to be at peace as we are tossed from pillar to post. Now, I know that's not the sort of normal way of approaching life, But actually, it really is the only one that works. I mean, we always pride ourselves here. The purpose of the chapel, what are you doing? What we do is we explore together to learn how to live our lives more skillfully. That's the purpose of coming together. How do we live our lives more skillfully? And really, I don't think that the way of trying to make things calm is a way that works. The only thing that works is to be able to be at peace when there's chaos around you. Because, all of us know that we cannot control life. Yet that's exactly what we're trying to do. I saw a meme on the internet the other day with a chap trying to mop up on a beach, the sea as it came in. And he had a little bucket there in his mop, and he was pushing the sea back and squeezing the thing out. We're never going to control life. And yet that's exactly what we try and do. Surely it makes much more sense to accept that life is naturally chaotic and to create the peace to live on the roller coaster in balance. And that's the thing, with everything charging around, to live in peace. And you think, surely that's not possible. Well, I'm going to do a physics experiment that's bound to go wrong. But I'm going to try it anyway. That shows you how you can have everything madly going round and yet be at peace. And you'll all know what I'm going to do when I produce this. There we are. So whether this is going to work or not, I don't know, but we'll give it a go. So I'm going to hold it like this. And then, there we are. It's spinning around like mad. And yet there we are, totally at peace. Whereas the whole world, that is our life. That is the cosmos. That is the universe. That's how it works. And yet we spin round. We don't center ourselves in that peace. Now, I know it will fall off, so I'm going to stop it before it does. Because otherwise, it worked. So you can see that's where it is. And when I looked at life, my life, when I was looking at this, and this idea of staying at peace while the chaos was going on, I suddenly found it incredibly helpful. I found it helpful because I began to stop resisting what was coming my way. I did actually stop dreading the phone calls, but decided to peacefully go with them and to see how that took it. As Thomas Keating says, I'm just going to go through a couple of these bits just he says, this is creation. Endless, delightful, unpredictable, unbelievable, just isness and ising, playing with goodness, beauty, and truth without a purpose or a plan. To be in a relationship is to accept everything and resist nothing. To welcome enemies and make them the best of friends, whether they be people, angels, demons, problems, difficulties, pain, suffering, isolation. Rilke's poem, the house guest, we had it a couple of weeks ago. Welcome everything. And that, believe it or not, is the way of life of the enlightened master. Great passage from the Tao Te Ching. I love the Stephen Mitchell's translation, because Stephen Mitchell, it's not all he all the way through. When he talks about an enlightened master, and then he'll start she, which I like. Tao Te Ching says, she who is centered in the Tao can go wherever she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. This is the great secret to life. You can answer that phone if you want. T.S. Eliot talked about the still point in the turning world. He says in the Four Quartets, at the still point in the turning world, neither flesh nor fleshless, neither from nor towards, at the still point, there the dance is, but neither arrest nor movement. And do not call it fixity, where past and future are gathered, neither movement from nor towards, neither ascent nor decline, except for the point, the still point. Except for the still point, there would be no dance. And there is only the dance. I can only say There we have been, but I cannot say where. So he's talking about that is the point of peace, but he can't push you to your own experience of peace. It's really, this is the deepest secret which is hidden in plain sight. It's the deepest secret hidden in plain sight. That the life lived well is the life lived at peace among chaos, rather than trying to make the world be at peace so that we can experience that peace. It is through the noun being at peace that we experience the verb being at peace. It is through the noun being at peace that we experience the verb being at peace. And yet it is counterintuitive. We want to control for peace, not be at peace. And Thomas Keating gives us a hint. He says in the same passage, he says, we are a certain, this isn't part of the passage I quoted, this is a different passage. He says, we are a certain openness to everything and nothing, both at once and in all that is in between. We are a certain openness to everything and nothing, both all at once and all that's in between. This is God in us and we in God. This is eternal life, shared in common with all other creatures in an infinite variety of ways. So that peace is what we share with all other creatures. He says it's here all at once, everything in movement. And really, to really get this is to transform the way we experience life. We become that stillness, seeing that nothing matters because everything matters. And that everything from the atomic level upwards is in chaos. And so we sit in that nothing. And I've quoted this before, that wonderful thing from the Dhammapada. The Buddha said, O seeker. And this is what it means, rely on nothing until you want nothing. It's all there, in all these religions, hidden in plain sight. Yet even those of us aware of it, and I'm sure most of us are aware of this, we're always constantly forgetting it and going back to trying to control the chaos. And that's where the whole idea of being conscious comes in. You've got to be conscious to be able to stay in that peace. You have to be conscious of what's going on and what's happening. And when you get jolted in life, we have to remember that it's our responsibility to stay centered when things get rough, not to immediately cry out in fear like the disciples and ask for help. And in our case, when things come up, we probably will use the F word and lament the fact that things are always going wrong. No! How many times a day do you think that or say that? You have to catch yourself the Viktor Frankl way, that between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response, in that space. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. In that space is the opportunity to return to your center. To remember that there is chaos out there and that the calm we seek from the storm is within. And then we own the calm as well as owning the chaos. Our life becomes a series of moments when we ready ourselves into calm at each moment that chaos hits. We're readying ourselves when chaos hits to come into calm again. It becomes a series of still points as each successive disruption hits. We're not buffeted by the waves. We ride each one from the peace of the crest of the wave, surfing our way through life. But to keep that balance, we have to keep conscious, not forgetting that as the wave moves this way and that, we have to retain our balance like the gyroscope. And it's really about choosing to remain in the present moment. Now what happens is that something comes along and immediately, I'm conscious, bang! I've crashed the car, Dad. I mean, I'm not going to be conscious that I am right over there now. I am, deciding what to do. But actually, when those moments hit, rather than having it take us away, it isn't a moment when it is to say, hey, no, stay conscious. Something has happened, but stay with this. Stay open to the present moment. Don't go away, stay. And each time it hits, it's a reminder to stay in the present moment if we choose for it to be that way. That's where the stillness is and the peace. And when we come along, when something comes along to disrupt us, we have the choice of either being disrupted and taken out of the present moment and into the chaos, or to use that disruption to remind us to let go and to remain in that peace, to remain in the present moment, with the disruption being a reminder that it is the peace we seek, not to try and control the chaos. And try it next time something hits you. Try to roll with it and yet remain present. Try to be in that still point as the world turns around you. Try to have your being at peace. Have your being be at peace so that you can be at peace. It's the way through all that life throws at us. It is the way through all that life throws at us.